Let's talk about growing up in the frozen north. You were born in Edmonton, and my understanding is that you're adopted by wonderful parents, grew up in Tabor, which is in southern Alberta, as opposed to Edmonton, which is in northern Alberta. There are some great, really inspiring circumstances about your adoption. Would you share that with us?
I would love to. It was in 1951. My parents could not have children, so they had adopted 2.5 years earlier, and they had gotten a little boy. And so, because adoptions were quite challenging in those days, my parents had immediately put in the papers to have another child, and they were hoping for a little girl. But 2.5 years had gone by, and nothing had been forthcoming. And so my father was aware of a Latter-day Saint who was serving in a government capacity in Edmonton, in the Alberta government. It was N. Eldon Tanner. But he was the Minister of Lands and Forests. And I'm not sure...
Which doesn't have a lot to do with adoption.
Not a lot to do with adoption. But my father was rather bold, I think. He did not know N. Eldon Tanner. He just knew that he was a member of the church. But he wrote him a letter and told him of their circumstances and asked him if he could look into the matter of why they had not received a little girl, or a child, I guess. And it was just a few weeks later, and Eldon Tanner wrote my parents back and said that he indeed did look into it, and that there was a baby girl that was at the University Hospital in Edmonton who was 3 weeks old and was waiting to be adopted by someone, and she was theirs if they wanted her. So my parents immediately said that yes, that they did want her. And so it was their first airplane ride, for my mother. And they flew to Edmonton in a snowstorm and picked me up. And the unique thing is that coming back as well on the airplane, Gracie Fields, I don't know if you're aware of her, she was a famous singer from England. She was on the same airplane. And so I even have a little autograph of Gracie Fields.
Really, on that memorable flight.
But the most amazing thing for me is the connection with someone like N. Eldon Tanner, who was a busy man and I'm sure had many things in his life that he needed to take care of, and yet he took the opportunity and time to look into something that was near and dear to my parents' heart. And so that's how I came to our family.
And totally changed the course of your life.
It did. It allowed me to grow up in a home where the gospel of Jesus Christ was very evident, and allowed me to gain a testimony and establish a great foundation in my life. So I'm very grateful for my father, his boldness, and for N. Eldon Tanner, his kindness.